Okay. A very good afternoon, a very good morning to one and all present here. Today I'm going to be presenting my presentation is about vision for the future of India. Actually, the reason why I choose this topic is that there are four topics given like Indian independence movement and freedom fighters and patriotism. And the reason why this topic, I got stuck with this topic is that I used to think about the future India and all those changes that I crave might happen to India for many times. It's not just because of this presentation I have prepared this, but all these ideas I'm going to talk about, all these changes I wish could happen in India, I have been dreaming about it since my childhood, since the day I came to know that all these problems are prevailing in India. And so I just take this opportunity as a beautiful one to talk out my ideas. So, as tomorrow is going to be our Independence Day, and I'm not sure. Many years ago, India just had won the battle and got its independence, which was a great achievement. So happy Independence Day in advance for everyone out there. So let's get into my presentation. My first vision. My first vision is freedom. And the reason why I chose freedom is that if you are not capable of doing what you want, if you couldn't get the chance to do and enjoy the pleasure of doing things on your own and what you really want, you just cannot go and change someone, right? If you don't have control over yourself, if someone is constantly controlling you, then you cannot change others. So is a country. So when India got, before India received its independence from the British rule, it was under the British rule. The Britishers were, plundering the wealth of India, its culture and heritage, and India was really losing balance. And so Indian people weren't really having any control over our world, and it was such degrade for our country. So my first vision is freedom, and India even has its freedom. So India has already got its freedom, and actually even before 1947, then at 1857, when the War of Independence started, at that time itself, I believe that freedom has begun because people has got that spirit to fight for the freedom of their country. They didn't just be there and they didn't accept the slavery. They just thought that we have to get rid of the slavery, right? So that is when I think we got our first, vision. So that started my first vision, and India has it, but still, even now, India provides, even now, India is a country where there is democracy, right? We have democratic rule, democratic government, but still, there are some issues regarding this democracy, because at some point we people has to make protest, and it's really hard for the government to hear the voices of the downtrodden people out there, because we have to protest, and many people have to shed their blood in order to achieve something, in order to want the government to take action. There are so many protests that happened in the past years. I don't have to mention the Sterlite problem and the Jallikattu issues, and I'm not going to link all of these things with the with a problem faced by India, but basically it's a problem. If people want some change, if people want the government to take an action or change, the people's voice must be heard, right? It's not like the prime minister is not a Hitler of the government. He's just ruling India for the people and by the government is for the people, by the people, and of the people. But so the people's voice is the first and foremost voice that is supposed to be heard, and there must be a freedom for people to speak out, even if it is against the government, even if something is wrong, they have to speak out without any fear. So that is really important. I think freedom is the first and foremost vision, and my next vision is financial independence. So we all know that at present, $1 is equal to 74 plus some paise rupees. It's really a huge amount. There's a huge financial difference, economical difference. But India, at first, when India got its independence on 15th August 1947, the exchange rate between Indian rupee and US dollar was just equal to 1. That is, $1 is equal to 1 rupee. And what happened then? What happened to Indian economy? Why does it go? Why does it went down? Even US is not the old country. Us is actually a colonized country. It was colonized from the Europeans, but India is a very old country. It has its civilization dating back to a so very long time. It has its wealth, it has agriculture, and all the wealth that a country needs, right? And the population is also huge. The manpower, the power of young people, the young population is very huge. And why is still like downtrodden? What happened to the economical position of India? So that is something that really, you know, stresses my heart. I used to think about it. We people really have to put in a lot of effort to bring up the economic of India, and I hope someday in future, one Indian rupee is going to be equal to one US dollar, and that is one of the visions, one of the things I see in my vision for India, because currently the Indian economy is developing, but still we gotta pay way for many, Indian manufactured things, and we have to support the startups, and so by that way we can make this possible. And the next thing is agricultural growth. No doubt that India is a country with great agricultural wealth. So it's already an agricultural country. So it's the primary income, the primary source and power of India comes from agriculture. But due to this technology or some of the changes in structural, structure of India, so India is undergoing a structural change, and this situation is really, we have something that is supposed to be considered. The rate of growth of agricultural output is gradually declining in the recent years. There are so many causes of this declination due to this, the agricultural lands turning into real estates and properties and buildings, shopping malls, and but the primary, not every country is blessed with this type of land. There are countries where you cannot see anything except for sand. Those countries are totally dependent on their fuels, and by trading those fuels to other countries, they gain income. But India is not like that. India has its every wealth in its own country. All thing we got to do is just save it and make use of it. You can be anything. You can you can get into any stream. You can be an engineer, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be a businessman, but never forget what feeds you, your agricultural land. That is, never forget what your ancestors did to save you, to feed you. So we must all take agriculture as our part of life. It's just a part of life. Just as food is a part of our life, it is a part of life. And I truly, solemnly believe that by taking that in our hand, agriculture is really going to get growed. And so we are going to, I hope that agriculture growth in agriculture is another vision of future India that I see, because after our country is an agricultural country. And powerful educational system. We students all know that we just don't take book and keep reading until it's the last day of the examination. We have to at least get 35 marks to clear our year or something. We don't have to get into this position anyway. So the lack of interest is a common cause for degrading educational system. It's not about, it's like so many tell us you have to work hard, you have to study hard. You may not always be pleased with the subjects you go with, but that's not the case. Acquiring knowledge is supposed to be enjoyed with pleasure. And there are so many educational systems, so many developed countries with which follow that type of educational system. But in India, 90% of the education is theoretical, and there is a very limited scope for practical learning and research on the part of the people. So there is no space for creative learning and thinking, and students are always bound to a specific syllabus and are not really encouraged to go out and about their seams. But altering our educational system and bringing up an advanced educational system in which students can learn and students can have that thirst for learning is really important, because education is the backbone of our country, just as agriculture is. So that is what builds up a person. That is what gives a great helping hand for a person. So we must really alter the education system. And I hope in the future, my vision of future India is that it will be having an advanced education system where students will be like craving to go to school, just like they wanted to go to meet their friends or wanted to go to the park. They'll be just craving for, they will be just craving for going to school, not like they're gonna lie and cry that I'm not going to school tomorrow. They just, I'm going to school. I want that Indian children to be that excited to go to school, and that is what I dream of. And the next thing is eradication of gender equality. It's been a very big topic um, since it's been so many years, and this is the same, like the prevalence of gender discrimination and social norms and practices. The girl childs are more exposed to child marriage, teenage pregnancy, child domestic work, poor education and health, sex abuse, exploitation, and violence. So this is something that is supposed to be changed. Even still now, there are so many situations in India that shows that, like, if a girl, there are so many things, like we don't have to, it's very obvious. Everybody knows that even if a woman goes to work, but she's responsible for all the domestic works and households, and it is not that what I'm talking about. There must be equal respect, equal opportunity, and social rights for women, just as men have. And all she must also have place in all those government positions, as just as men have. And that is one of my vision as a woman. I really wish it could happen sooner. And unemployment. This is just like, many of the countries face this problem. India also faces this problem. We all know that there are so many VIPs, Valhalla Patadaris, in India. Like, there are so many degree holders without any job. They are just doing the job they get. Recently, when I just come to talk about this topic, I remember something. Recently, 3 days ago, I was talking to my friend over the phone, and she's doing her engineering in the PhD college Coimbatore, and she was saying that some of her friends, like 4 or 5 people, they would just drop the idea of preparing for placements, and they were preparing for their bank examinations. And why the hell do you have to study engineering in order to work in a bank? If you wanted to work in a bank, if you want to, become a banker, then why the hell do you want to go and read all those programs and codings? Why suffer with engineering if you don't like it? The thing is that either you become a doctor or engineer. Nothing more other options are available for you. This really sucks. What kind of idea is this? Like, doctor and engineers are like the most superior positions in our country. This is something that should be changed. Like, your education should be based on your career. So unemployment should be, unemployment has a lot to do with the educational system. So if the educational system changes, automatically the unemployment will also change, and also it will be removed from our future India, and that is what I hope for. And finally, the final goal of the future India is that cleanliness. I see this as a primary goal because it's not so out of practice that so many Indian people are suffering with malnutrition and deficiency, and that is really heartbreaking to see them die out of that when so many people are living in luxury and paying for their, complaining that the water they get is not so clean, and they couldn't feel the enough chillness in their room. But cleanliness must be considered, not because not it's not just your home, or not just your door, or not within your corridors, but it's also about the verandas outside. It's also about your country, your public transport you travel. So you have to consider that. And due to the India's air and water heavily polluted, causing only a large number of deaths in the country, but also contributing to the problems globally, it says. You may also have heard that before, like 2019 or 2020, I guess, Delhi was due to that Diwali celebrations, the crackers that gave away so much of polluted the air so much, right? So we have to consider, it's not just about our health, it's about a future. It's about our grandchildren who are going to suffer for, air, who are going to pay for the oxygen they wanted to breathe. And that is why going to be the condition of India if you didn't care about that now. So cleanliness is really required. And I think that India will really consider it, and the future India is going to be cleaner, and in its cleanest position. So that is all I wish for. So that is the India I see, that is the future India I can dream of. So which is which has plenty of financial independence, agricultural growth, and powerful education system, and eradication of gender equality, removed unemployment, cleanliness as a primary goal, and that is what I see. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. My topic is about patriotism. Patriotism. Meaning of patriotism, feeling for their country is known as patriotism. Patriotism means loyalty of person to his or her own nation for a leaders of nation. Is nothing but a strong feeling or support for a nation, emotional attachment to a homeland, vigorous support to one's country. Patriotism is nothing but who supports to a nation is known as patriotism. Patriot. Person who is on his side of his nation or leaders. A person who sacrifices his own life for a nation or his country is known as patriot. Strong support for his country. A person who supports his country and prepared to defend against enemies or detractors. A person who sacrifices his life for country and enemy. Sacrifice for a person who sacrifices his life to country from enemies or detractors is known as a patriot. Person love and support and defends his country. E- Next, difference between patriotism and nationalism. Patriotism is different from nationalism. Nationalism means thinks every ethnic group should have nation. Nationalism which include only nation, but patriotism which include whole nationalism is known as patriotism. In patriotism, nation itself is the highest value. In if we take patriotism, in patriotism it include nationalism as the most highest value point in patriotism. Importance of patriotism. Feelings of patriotism is important for a freedom of a country. Feeling patriotism. A person who sacrifices his whole life for a country is known as patriotism. In this, the importance of patriotism is nothing but feeling of patriotism for a freedom of a country is known as patriotism. Patriotic person will be ready to sacrifice their life and give more love to a country. Patriotic is immortal. Men love their own country. Mother and motherland are superior to heaven. When we compare to a human life, mother and motherland, the country, a person who includes his whole life to mother and motherland is known as patriotic person. Patriotism in India. It is a great and selfless passion of love for one's country. India, Indian patriot ready to lay down their life to serve for their country. True patriot who loves India as a achieve worker. A patriotic person can work whole life for a country is known as a patriotic person. Bad patriotic is nothing but who does not take care of his country and more or less who does not take care of his country and does not give respect is known as bad patriotic. When we compare to good patriotic, a man who work for his country and who think his country as his motherland is known as a good patriotism. Conclusion: patriotism is a everyone must have patriotic feeling to make the country themselves exist in a proper manner. We have to make a soul for us patriotic country and we have to work for a country. If everyone work together, we can achieve more than other country. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, you are audible and visible. You
Yes,
can
ma'am.
go ahead with your presentation now.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning. Start.
I'm going to talk about Indian freedom fighters. Presenting about Indian freedom fighters. While we are, while tomorrow is the 75th Independence Day. When I am celebrating Independence Day, I thought of the freedom fighters. Those who have um, those are the, those those who have give their life to our 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 India. First of all, we are going to say about Mahatma Gandhi. He is the father of the nation. He used he always go in the he was born on October. Mahatma Gandhi is remembered as the father of nation and significant leader in independence in India's independence. Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi full name is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, born on Hindu Modi family in Porbandar, Gujarat, India, 1869. He was a lawyer and anti-colonialist political ethnistic. He was the son of Karamchand Gandhi. He was the chief minister of the Porbandar. Karamchand Gandhi was chief minister of Porbandar. His mother name is Putlibai Karamchand. Putlibai. He was fourth wife for Karamchand Gandhi. Karamchand Gandhi. Next, he founded a Indian independence movement, Gandhiism. He was died. He wrote his autobiography in Experiment of Truth. His birthday is celebrated as a Gandhi Jayanti, and worldwide we has celebrated as a Indian International Day of Non-Violence. He was commonly called by Pappu. He was died on 13th January 1948 at the age of 78. Next, I am going to tell about Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru full name was Lal Bahadur Shastri Jawaharlal Nehru. He was called as a Pandit Nero. He was an important leader in the Indian independence movement. He joined in the Indian National Congress. He was the first Prime Minister of India when India got its independence. Jawaharlal Nehru was born on 14th November 1889 to born to a mother name is Sorup Jrani and father name is Motilal Nehru. He was an Indian National he was in Indian National Congress. He was an eminent leader in the Indian independence movement. The children call him as a Chacha Nehru. Award, he got a Bharat Ratna award in 1955. We are celebrating his birthday as a Children's Day. He was died on May 27, 1964 in Uttar Pradesh. Next, we are going to see about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the first Deputy Prime Minister of India. When we got its independence, he is the first Deputy Prime Minister of India. He worked under the Jawaharlal Nehru. He was born on 31st October 1875. He was worked as a barrister, politician, activist, and freedom fighters also. He got a Bharat Ratna award in 1991. He married to a Jawaharlal Patel. He was died on December 15th, 1950 at the age of 75. Next, we are going to see about Lal Bahadur Shastri. Lal Bahadur Shastri was born on October 2nd, 1904. He was awarded Bharat Ratna in 1996. He was the second Prime Minister of India. First, Jawaharlal Nehru is the first Prime Minister, and second Prime Minister who is known the Lal Bahadur Shastri. He was died on 11th January 1966 at the age of 61. I am proud of our freedom fighters. They gave their life to give independence to our India. Thank you. That's all, ma'am.
All a happy advanced Independence Day. Every year, 15th August is commemorated as a day of Indian gained the independence from the British ruler. And our topic is about the patriotism. What is a patriotism? First, meaning of the patriotism. Feeling for our country is the patriotism. What is a patriotism? Patriotism means loyalty of the person to his or her own nation or the leaders of nation. Second, the patriotism is an emotion attachment to the nation, which is an individual recognized as their homeland. Patriotism is the equality to the being patriotic or a virtuous support for our country. Next topic is who is a patriot? A patriot is a person who is on the side of his or her own nation of its leader. A patriot is a someone who feels a strong support for their country. And third point is a patriot is a person who loves, support and friends his or her country, and they interest with the devotion. And our third topic is difference between a patriotism and nationalism. A patriotism different from a nationalism. A national think that every ethnic group should have its own nation, so the nations are serves the people. In other words, in a nationalism, the nation is just a tool to have a freedom from the ethical group. By a patriotism, the nation itself the highest value. And our topic is importance of patriotism. A feeling of patriotism is an important of the freedom of the country. A patriotic person will always be ready to sacrifice his life for the love of this country. A patriot is an immortal. A men love their own country. They do not have many things for the good of their country. It is said the mother and the motherland as a superior to heaven. And our topic is patriotism in India. Patriotism is a great and selfless passion of the love for one's country. To an Indian patriot, his mother and the motherland are superior even to a heaven. An Indian patriot is ready to lay down in his life in the service of this country in India. Patriotism is not a mere passive love for the country. A true patriot who loves India is an active worker. He works at the heart of soul for the process of the Indian and the countryman. He took the action for maintaining the sovereignty and glory of this motherland. Patriotism is good and bad. Patriotism is good. Patriotism great things just depends on how you use it. Shouldn't you love the country that you in? Patriotism is bad. Only belief which seems to proceed throughout the debates that the patriotism with the patriot throwing round occasion of the people and unpatriotic. And last, finally, the conclusion. Everybody must have a patriotic feeling to make the country and themselves exit in the proper. Thank you, everybody.
I would like to call upon Vidya to present her screen now. Thank you, Dinesh.
A very pleasant good morning to all. Today I am going to present a PPT about Indian freedom fighters. Please wait a second. Screen is visible for all?
Yes.
There are a lot of freedom fighters in India. Let me see about some of the freedom fighters. First, we see about Mahatma Gandhi. He was born on October 2, 1869 in Gujarat. He was died on January 13, 1948. He was Indian lawyer, politician, writer who became the leader of nationalist movement against the British rule of India. Next, we see about Rani Lakshmi Bai. The Rani of Jhansi was born on 19th November 1828 and she was died on 1858, was an Indian queen and warrior. She was one of the greatest leader of Indian rebellion of 1857 and became for Indian nationalists a symbol of resistance to British rule in India. Next we see about Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was born on 3rd December 1884 and he was died on 28th February 1963, was a lawyer, scholar who served as the first Prime Minister of India from 1950 to 1962. He was an Indian political leader and lawyer by training. Next we see about Dr. Ambedkar. Bhimarao Ramji Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 and he was died on 6th December 1956, was an Indian jurist, economist, politician and social reformer who inspired the dialect Buddhist movement. Next we see about Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh was born on September 27, 1907 and he was died on March 23, 1931. He was the hero of the Indian independence movement. He began to protest British rule in India while still a youth and soon fought for the national independence. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity.
Screen is visible. Samir, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My topic in this PPT is about Indian freedom fighters. These are all some of the freedom fighters who played a vital role in Indian freedom movement, but they are still unknown to many people. Here are the 5 freedom fighters from different regions. The first person is Anjali Amman. She started her political activities in 1921. She also took part in Salt Satyagraha and Quit India movement. When British government didn't allow her to meet Gandhi, she herself disguised as a Muslim woman by wearing a burqa and met Gandhi in Kudalur. She is known as South India's Jhansi Rani. She encouraged her 9-year-old daughter to participate in protest. She was imprisoned in jail for 5 years. The next person is Kanaklata Barua. She was born in 22 December 1924 in Darang district, Assam. She became famous in Assam by participating in Quit India movement. She joined in suicide squad named Mrityu Bahini when she was 17 years old. She attacked a police station in her village along with her village people. Although the police warned her, she refused to surrender. At the end, she was shot dead by police while holding the national flag. The next one is Pauna Brajabashi. He is a soldier from Kangleipak Kingdom from Manipur. He led the army against the British in Anglo-Manipur War in 1891. The next one is Pauna Brajabashi. He is a soldier from Kangleipak Kingdom from Manipur. He led the army against British in Anglo-Manipur War in 1891. He is very brave and refused to surrender. Though British army asked him to join with them, he refused and chose death over them. In the end, he was beheaded in the war. The next one is Rani Gaiden Liu. She was from ethnic Naga tribe from northeast region. She joined in Heraka religious reform movement in 1927 to kick the British out from their region. She led many underground attacks on British colonies. She was arrested in 1932 and met Nehru in Shillong prison. He gave the title Rani to Gaiden Liu. We are free people and white men should not rule over us. This is her famous quote. The last one in this PPT is Koyapalli Kelappan. He is an Indian politician, independence activist, educationist, and journalist. He was the lead figure of Indian National Congress in Kerala during Indian independence movement. He was known as Kerala Gandhi. He was the major influence on the Vaikum Satyagraha movement and led the Guruvayur Satyagraha in 1932. So that's all in my PPT presentation. Thank you for all listening. Thank you.
Good afternoon to one of our present here. I'm Monica from 3rd BA English, and for today's presentation, I have chosen the topic, the future vision of India. Actually, the first person who comes to our mind when we hear about India being as a developed country is absolutely such an amazing personality, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir. So I want to talk about him, his view about India being as a developed country. First vision of him was freedom, and next one was development, and third one was India must stand up to the world. First, freedom. Yeah, we have got freedom in 1947, but that's not the freedom I'm talking about right now. It's about the freedom given to the people to explore new ideas and implement to make India as a developed country. That's what the freedom he was talking about for the Indian people to make India as a developed country. And next one, development. India is actually a developing country for past 50 years, we excel in many major technology developments and technology developing industries and so on. But we still lack some self-confidence in ourselves to present ourselves in front of the entire world, to make the entire world to admire us. That's what he has shared in one of his interview. And next one, third vision of him was India must stand up to the world. That's what it's like. We lack some self-confidence. And for example, at present, people believe and accept the vaccines which are made in foreign countries such as US and the European countries. Yes, right, rather than Indian vaccine. We don't accept our own country products, and we don't accept our own country people's inventions. Then how can we expect the entire world to admire us? So personally, I feel we should admire and feel proud of our people's victory. And that's what Abdul Kalam sir has said about his future vision of India. And next one is about media exposure in India. Yeah, we have n number of vast media channels, but that's not the exposure I'm talking about. For example, the thing I want to share is India is the first country in milk production, wheat production, and if you see in sports category, we can see that India has won continuously 6 times in hockey in Olympics, which is really a great achievement according to me. But those kind of achievements are not shared in media continuously. We are not aware of all those things. We are only aware of the negative impacts which are occurring in our own country. The headlines will be like if some murders occur in any corner of India, it will be the headlines in the newspaper, Indian newspaper. That's what our country is implementing on us. Here, actually, we have millions of such achievements, and still our media is obsessed with some bad news, failures, disasters, and etc. Once Kalam narrates about an incident which took place in Israel. He was in Israel and he was reading an Israeli newspaper. There he saw a lot of, before that day, the day before, a lot of attacks and deaths have occurred. But the front page, the Israeli newspaper's front headlines was about the picture of Jewish gentleman who in 5 years has transformed a desert into an orchard, which is really a great one. They just share their positive ones to their own country people. But the killings, attacks, the deaths, all these were described in the middle of paper where the other things were buried. All those deaths and negative impacts were in the middle paper. So here we can see that the Israeli government wanted to show their people about their own positive ones. But whereas we just show the negative ones in the headlines. So those media can show about, point out the negatives, point out the positives which occurs in our country, so that people would naturally start to trust the government. So these minute changes would lead us to India being as a developed country, according to me, my personal perspective. And next one, why India is not a developed country? As I'm here talking about India being as a developed country, I wanted to point out the negative ones so we could change it and look forward for India being as a developed country. Here, I have listed out some things which could be changed so we could see our nation in a very admirable way. First one, we lack some encouragement. It's like even Americans, they give their people a lots and lots of encouragement and freedom to do what they wanted to do. So the youngsters, they just come up with lots of ideas and they build up their nation in such an amazing way. And we have to overcome the lack of encouragement, and we have to encourage our youngsters to do many superb ideas. And the next one is not working for country. Yeah, this is being the major problem right now, because all Indians are really talented according to me, but all these talents are being exported to other countries. For example, Microsoft company, they own 8,000, more than 8,000 Indians are working there. And once Bill Gates have said in one of his interviews that if Indians are not working here, then the amazing next upgraded version of Microsoft would be in India, would be invented by India. It was said by Bill Gates himself. He actually praised Indians, but we are lacking to encourage our Indians, and we are really talented, and we have been grown in this ground, in this land. We have to be here in this land to make our own land to be a prosperity one, according to me. And next one, mentality issue. Yeah, we believe in lots and lots of superstition things, and we are really a little bit. If you see modern cities, it's okay, fine. But if you look into the villages, they are a little bit close-minded and they limit themselves. So they have to overcome these things to make our nation as a developed one. And next one is low income for hard work. Really, we work literally for 10 to 12 hours a day, but we get less salary comparatively to other countries. Yes, so why many Indians who are talented, they work in the foreign countries where they work less but earn more. That's why they are immigrating. And next one is divide and rule. Yeah, it's being such an bad impact because the central government and state government are divided, and the what the state government tells us, that's what reflects in the people's mind, and they just oppose within the country, within India. The states are being there are many conflicts between North India, South India. We are separated. That must be cured, and we must bond together as a whole Indian nation. We should believe that that we are Indians. We are not. It's like each separate states are like each separate country. We are ruling like that and stuff. But I wish personally that we would bond together all one to make India as a developed country. And next one, ignorance. Yeah, rumors can trigger India a lot. That's what they are coming to pointing out here. And then unproductive population. Yeah, we are world's largest, second largest populated country. But that's not the problem. Population is not problem. If you take example as China, they are the world's number one populated country. But within 15 years, they were like during 1950s, they were literally a very they faced very poverty, but they overcome it within 50 years. They made out themselves to be a best version of them, and they stood up. So it's not about population; it's about the uh, like not educating the girl child. The proper education is not given to the citizens who are under the poverty line. All these things we have to improve our education system so that the youngsters could know about what's happening in their country and would come up with many ideas to make India as a better version of India. And next one, corruption, politics. Oh my God, this is really and very uh, lacking one. We lack it because politics. All these politicians, they are a corruptionist, according to me, because they just think about themselves. They just get all these wealth for their upcoming generations. They doesn't think about the other. They don't think that they are in that particular country where their generation might grow, but they are not thinking about the others. They literally think about their own generation wealth and safetiness. That should be changed. The partiality should be changed, and the person who does corruptions must get a severe punishment accordingly, so that they would be afraid of doing all these illegal stuffs and everything. And responsibility, here comes the main point. Actually, we people expect our government to do everything. We blame on government everything, like they are not doing all these stuff, they are not making India to be clean, all these stuff. They just implement projects and such, so and so on. We just complain about everything about government. But according to me, we blame our government, we blame Indian Railways, Indian Airlines to provide the best in everything, but we fail to learn the proper use of public property. It's really a very tragic one. We talk about burning social issues like dowry, child marriage, but we fail to follow them when it comes to in our own life. We vacate India to foreign nation in order to earn more money, and we just complain about everything. We do every stuff, but we complain about government. It's our responsibility to make our own country as a developed one. We shouldn't just voice out, we should work on it to make our country as a better version. And for personally, I feel we could we could adopt some foreign cultures, such as if you see Kalam, APJ Abdul Kalam sir, he once went to Hyderabad and he got an opportunity to meet an 14-year-old girl who asked for an autograph. He asked her what goal in her life is. She replied that she wanted to live in a developed India. For her, we should build a developed nation by working together and by praising our own culture. And the first I initially mentioned about adapting foreign culture. There are few I want to mention it. In Singapore, public during we don't throw cigarette butts or eat in stores. We wouldn't eat in public during Ramadan in Dubai, and we don't dare to drive in Washington. It's really an amazing one. We don't dare to drive in Washington and tell traffic police that I'm so and so and son, I'm Will Smith's son, I'm Bill Gates' daughter, or something like that. We can't just use our father's name uh, to do some illegal stuffs or something like that. It's really great. There is no partiality between the normal citizens and the richer one. That should be followed here. And even in Australia and New Zealand, the chuck of empty coconut shells, they must not throw it in the beaches or something like that. So why is that we can't follow the same as we respect the foreign systems, right? If we go to foreign country, we would respect their rules, right? The same way, why can't we follow it in our country to make our country as in clean India or something as being as in developed one? That's what I wanted to tell. When we go to other countries, we definitely follow all these steps, right? So we want to make, if we want to be in a developed nation, we are the responsibility to do all these steps. And how to deal with the changes. As I'm presenting about India to be as a developed country, I wanted to point out the negative ones so we could change it and look forward for developed India, just like accepting the changes and read inspirational stories so that the youngsters, they could trigger their mind to do some positive things. All these such of things we could do to change India. And finally, I want to tell and complete my presentation by telling that the one leader to change our nation as a developed country is not someone else. It is each one of us. So I wish to see India as a developed nation in the future very soon. Thank you all for listening patiently and giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
I'm going to present a paper on Indian freedom fighters. First one is Bhagat Singh and another is Bal Gangadhar Tilak. First of all, we are going to see about Bhagat Singh. He was born on 28 September 1907 at Banga, Punjab. It is in before independence, it is in British India. Now, in present day, it is in Pakistan. Bhagat Singh was a Sandhujat born in 1907 to Krishna Singh and Vidyavati at Banga village. His birth coincided with the release of his father and two uncles, Ajit Singh and Shravan Singh, from jail. His family members were Hindus and Sikhs. Some had been active in Indian independence movement. Others had several in Maharaj Ranjit Singh's army. His ancestral village was Katkar Kalan, near the town of Banga, India in Navanshar district. His family was politically active. His grandfather Arjun Singh followed Swami Dayananda Saraswati's Hindu reformist movement. His father and his uncles were members of the Gadar party. He quit his school at the age of 13 to devote his life to the independence. He became involved in several violent demonstrations of political defiance and was arrested several times. Bhagat Singh was found guilty of killing a British police officer and hanged on March 23, 1931. Next, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was born on 23rd July 1856 at Ratnagiri district, Bombay State, British India. Present day it is Maharashtra. Died at 1st August 1920 at the age of 64 at Bombay. He was born as Keshav Gangadhar Tilak in 1856 in Ratnagiri, modern day Maharashtra. Born into a middle class Hindu family, got a bachelor degree from Pune. Initially worked as a maths teacher, later started working as a journalist and joined the freedom movement. He was one of the founder of the Ferguson College in Pune. He published two papers, Kesari in Marathi, and Maratha in English. He was fearless in his criticism of the government in these papers. Tilak joined the Congress in 1890. He was opposed to moderate ways and views and had a more radical and aggressive stance against British rule. He was one of the first advocates of Swaraj or self-rule. He gave the slogan, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. He believed that no progress was possible without self-rule. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all. My topic is patriotism. Now we are see about what is patriotism and who is a patriot and patriotism in India and importance of patriotism. Now we see about what is patriotism. Patriotism means loyalty of person to his or her own nation or the leaders of nation. Patriotism is an emotional attachment to a nation which an individual recognizes and their homeland. Patriotism is the quality of being patriotic or vigorous support to one's country. Express their patriotism in different ways. Soldiers, scientists, doctors, politicians, and their citizens express their patriotism through their hard work in their profession. Now we see about who is patriot. A patriot is a person who is on the side of his or her own nation or its leader. A patriot is someone who feels a strong support for their country. And a patriot is a person who vigorously supports their country and is prepared to defend it against enemies and detractors. A patriot who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interest with devotion. Patriotism in India. Patriotism is the great selfless passion of love of one's country. To an Indian patriot, his mother and motherland are superior even to heaven. An Indian patriot is ever ready to lay down his life in the service of the country, India. And a true patriot who loves India is an active worker. He works at heart and soul for the progress of his country and countrymen. Next, importance of patriotism. The feeling of patriotism is important for the freedom of country. A patriotic person will always ready to sacrifice his life for the love for his country. They do many things for the good for the country. Patriotism is the most important thing for the development of the country. As patriots think about the country, its growth, and countrymen's improvement of the country. A sense of patriotism helps to reduce corruption and riots, hence the country develops effectively. Conclusion. Everybody must have patriotic feels to make the country and exist. And thank you to all.
Yes, Harshini, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning to one and all, and I'm glad to speak about the freedom fighters. I want to remember that is the topic freedom fighters. Saying this topic, everyone goes to the imagination and first Mahatma Gandhi and Nero, etc. They are freedom fighters, but not only there. There is lots of freedom fighters struggle for independence to our country, and in that I want to remember some freedom fighters. Now, you see, Bhagat Singh, Jhansi Rani, Netaji, Subhash Chandra Bose, Mangal Pandey, Lala Lajpat Rai, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Ambedkar, and Bahir also, and etc. persons. There is lots of freedom fighters in our country, and they struggled for independence. First, we see about Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh, he was born September 27, 1907, and he was the hero of the Indian independence movement. Bhagat Singh became a popular folk hero after his death, not his living time. And Jawaharlal Nehru also wrote about him. Bhagat Singh did not become popular because of his act of terrorism. He never followed the ahimsa, but he felt that um, terrorism is the right option to get independence, and he seemed to vindicate for the movement the honor of Lala Lajpat Rai and through him of the nation. He became a symbol. The act was forgotten. The symbol still remained. And after Jallianwala Bagh, he was after Jallianwala Bagh, um, he decided to struggle for independence. In that time, he was a 12-year-old boy, but that is a cruel incident. We all know about that, and after that, he decides and he struggled for independence. He sacrificed his whole life to the nation, and his when his family members take decision about his marriage, he ran away from his home. He was not married person, he was unmarried person, and he joined some movements and struggled for independence. He gave his pure soul for our country. And the next person we are seeing Rani of Jhansi. Her another name Manikarnika. He was married to the middle-aged Maharaja of Jhansi, Gangadhar Rao Newakar, in May 1842, and was afterwards called Lakshmi Bai. She is the Rani of Jhansi, and in September 1851, she gave birth to a boy later named Damodar Rao, who died for 4 months after birth. But Jhansi and her husband Gangadhar Rao, they feel very sad, and the Maharaja adopted a child called Anand Rao, but later he was renamed Damodar Rao, and the and one day before the Maharaja died, in that time she suffered alone. This is the main cause for 10th Jhansi to struggle for independence, because of the Britishers tried to take her kingdom and make their rule there, and the Britishers don't miss this opportunity, and they tried, but she was in the situation of protect her people and her kingdom, and so she struggled against Britishers, and her last drop of her blood, she struggled against Britishers and for independence or country. And next we see Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose, his by name Netaji. He was born January 23rd, 1897. He also led an Indian national force from abroad against the Western powers during World War II, and he escaped from India for save our country from Britishers. First, he went Germany for ask help from Hitler. to war against Britishers, but he was a disappointment. After that, he moved to Japan for ask help. He lived in his life like an one-man army, and he was the real hero to people. He struggled. He was struggled against Britishers in that time. In that period, he was the real hero because of um, he inspired youngsters and give them a belief of independence. After Second World War, his death was a mystery to everyone because of no one that believe he was died, but he was died, and not only he, there is lots of freedom fighters in our country. In that time, I only discuss about them, and thank you for giving opportunity to me, and advance happy Independence Day. Thank you.